fuck off. People have been bitching lately about us not talking about Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. So we're going to do that. And for that, I needed a guest host that was a big enough piece of shit to follow all of this nonsense and be involved in researching conspiracy theories and such.
Well, I had a leg up on that because Sean actually already did a lot of the research for one of the Con Men episodes.
Oh, shit. So is this all in Spanish? Damn.
No, it was all misspelled the first time around.
It's like fucking just crudely drawn pictures.
I had to translate from crayon hieroglyphs.
That would be funny, man. I want to do that. I wish I was back in fucking school. So somebody, like a teacher asked a question on a test, and I just draw a crudely drawn caveman painting to represent it. And then when she has a problem, we're like, oh, that's the language of my people. So,
I mean, it seems like that's kind of the direction it's going anyway. I swear the younger the person is that I'm talking to, the more emojis they use in a text, and I don't understand what the fuck it means.
Talking to a lot of young people, huh?
Yeah, occasionally. You know, my grooming practices.
Grooming. You're a dog groomer?
Yeah,
or
we'll
people.
go with that.
So, yeah, it is coming full circle. We started out with hieroglyphics, cave drawings, and then we developed language, literature, and now we're back.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of stuff's going backwards because one of the things that I noticed when I was researching this is a lot of it seems to be pushing us back towards an updated form of feudalism.
Yeah, that's kind of what that whole idea of you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, right? I mean, think of a much less polite version of Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
Where this old dude fucking owns what would effectively be a city, and everybody in the city works for him.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what you're doing, if you're farming on that land, like, technically you own the land, but not really, because he can just take it from you whenever he wants.
Yeah.
And he gets a percentage of all the sales. As a matter of fact, they usually would, if you're producing a commodity, the commodity goes to the city first before you make any money, and then you can sell. I mean, you're trading and stuff, but not like you would if you were trading with somebody next door or in a city next door. Excuse me. The World Economic Forum. So give us an intro into the World Economic Forum, what this is.
Well, the World Economic Forum, or WEF, is an international lobbying organization founded in 1971 by German economist Klaus Schwab. Originally known as the European Management Forum, the WEF changed its name in 1987 to match their broadened vision of influencing policies outside of Europe. And from my understanding, it started off with the goal of just, like I said, influencing policies within Europe. But after a number of years, they realized that if they started bringing in like high-level business owners and politicians from all over the world, they could affect a much broader scale of policies.
Yeah.
According to the official WEF website, the organization is focused on 3 primary goals, and these are all some kind of shortened up quotes directly from the website. So the first one is mastering the 4th industrial revolution, which apparently we're in right now with the
automation and shit.
Yeah. So, quote, over the next decade, we will witness changes tearing through the global economy with an unprecedented speed, scale, and force. Our activities address the ways these things change and affect our lives and how they are reshaping economic, social, ecological, and cultural context.
You notice how they didn't actually say anything?
Yeah.
It's like an advertisement for a fucking, what was that, Sunstream? Is that the company, Rob, from fucking 30 Rock?
Yeah, Steve Martin's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just never did
It's
anything.
like synergy.
Yeah.
Fucking what? The fuck?
That's what I noticed about a lot of the
Yeah.
wordage that they were using on the WEF website is the vast majority of it is just a bunch of bullshit.
Well, they
jargon.
used to be a lot more direct and descriptive on the site about transhumanism and things like that, and they've been systematically pulling those definitions off of their website over the last 6 months.
Transhumanism stuff, I wasn't even able to find any real references to it on the WEF website.
Yeah.
So the next one is solving the problems of the global commons. quote, "There are more challenges that require global consensus than ever before. Our communities tackle global problems with new models of public-private cooperation and the application of breakthrough science and technology solutions."
Now, when they say public-private cooperation, they don't mean buy-in from communities. They mean the leaders that they try to fund to get into positions of power and the businesses that they try to control in the same way, but not actual human beings.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear about that because I haven't been invited to Davos at all.
Well,
Once.
It's pretty expensive. We'll talk about the costs associated with membership later, and it's definitely for the elite.
I've got a bunch of nice information on Klaus Schwab too, as a human being, which isn't great. But anyways.
So the third one is addressing global security issues. We are seeing the world's worst refugee crisis since the Second World War. Violent terrorist acts driven by extremism, increasing geostrategic competition, regionalism, and new antagonists eroding global solidarity. The forum works to develop strategies for leaders to respond to the rapidly changing security landscape.
Okay, so global solidarity is a fucking pipe dream.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like communism or any utopian society, and the only way that you can achieve what they would consider the tenets of any utopian society, whether it's communism or anything else, is by like harsh authoritarianism. That's the only way that you can even get there, and then that doesn't really work. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how good the result is if anybody who doesn't want that result just gets murdered. Everybody else is like, that kind of sucked, man. No, I don't know if we're going to deal with that or not. People have fought back against a tyranny that doesn't really affect them over and over throughout the course of human history.
I think that's one of the reasons that transhumanism was part of their overall charter, is because really it's not realistic for this level of cooperation across the globe without having some sort of changes to, pretty much our basic genetic structure.
Right. A quick definition of transhumanism is a philosophical and intellectual movement which advocates for the enhancement of the human condition by developing and making widely available sophisticated technologies that can greatly enhance longevity and cognition. It also predicts the inevitability of such technologies in the future. So they're talking about implanting shit in your brain.
Yeah, that's like the, what is it, Neuralink that Elon Musk is working on?
Or biological things as well, like trying to reshape the human condition, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that is ultimately inevitable. I don't see any way that, outside of wiping ourselves out, I think it's just going to happen naturally over the course of the next 50 to 100 years.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, I'm happy for all this to happen, to be honest.
I am too.
Like, the breakdown of society is going to be so much fun, and I don't want to miss it. I don't want to be in hell and look up and be like, man, they're really fucking having fun up there. You know what I mean? It'd be like missing Woodstock or something. What?
You want full Mad Max, don't you?
I sure do, yeah. As a matter of fact, so I went to see the Batman last night. The car was dope. The movie is the worst movie I've ever seen. It literally is the worst movie that I have ever seen in my fucking life.
That sounds like hyperbole.
It's not hyperbole.
Have you seen Gremlins 2?
The amount of money that they spent on it and the cast and stuff. Now, Robert Pattinson as Batman was good. I thought he was really good. He didn't overplay the voice too much. Mm-hmm. Very physical, but the scenes, there were not enough gadgets at all. That's what Batman is tech, in my opinion. The fight scenes were brief, and they were only against fucking, like, red shirts. It was only against, like, red shirts from Star Trek, the guys that die first. The main villains, he didn't really fucking fist fight any of them. There weren't any that could fist fight him. So, I don't know. It felt dumb. The movie was about an hour too long.
Oh, yeah, isn't it something like 2.5 hours?
Yeah, and they were really just, the entire movie was basically to set the stage for 2 more movies. Oh. That's what it really was, and that's... Batman Begins was kind of like that, but they still had a pretty compelling antagonist, I think.
The training montages were cool.
Yeah, all of it was cool. All the fight scenes from him leaving Comertage or whatever the fuck, I don't know what it was really called, but him leaving there and then fighting people with mental illnesses on the street, which is what fucking Batman does, to developing the equipment and all that shit. And Batman Begins, it was really good. And then Liam Neeson's character was good as well.
Oh, Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. Anyways, so the WEF believes that periods of global instability, such as the COVID pandemic, present opportunities for large-scale changes to society. A quote on the official WEF website from founder Klaus Schwab states, the pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. The idea behind this is what's known as the quote-unquote Great Reset.
No, he's really not wrong that in times of widespread chaos, that's generally the best time to try and implement these new sweeping reforms.
Yeah.
I still think that the morality behind it is a little questionable.
Well, I mean, the best time to conduct security review and improvements is after an attack as well. So it's not. I mean, that does kind of go. One thing does precede the other, but it's problematic in a lot of ways because of what it is they're trying to accomplish, not so much their strategy. The other part of that is a lot of people, you can tell when something is truly evil if the government and legacy media try to cover it up. So that you bring up the Great Reset. Let's say you just went on as a guest on CNN and started talking about the Great Reset. Aaron Burnett's or Brian Stelter were like, "Oh, fucking Great Reset." He literally wrote a book.
It's a pretty manly voice for Brian Stelter.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Klaus Schwab literally wrote a book titled "The Great Reset."
Yeah, and he's mentioned it in multiple articles that he's written for Time. And
it's like when, God, what's that little worm? That little fucking short, dumpy retard in Congress said that Antifa was not real. It's not real. It's not a real thing.
It's just an idea.
It's just not. Nadler, I think his name was Jerry Nadler.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he said it's not real, and then in the background is like people with an Antifa symbol on their shirt. Like, how many people have to wear the same shit in a group for that to be a thing?
I mean, they're flying flags. They have organized chapters across the U.S. It's
like you don't
obviously
have
some sort of organization.
You don't have a membership roster, so you don't count as a group. Like, where does Al Qaeda have a fucking spreadsheet somewhere with all their and they're like their stats and shit? Like, oh, Habib is 5'7", but
yeah, maybe
fuck?
It's like fraternity life where the guys who had bad grades, you just kept them off the roster.
It's hidden in all that porn, though.
Oh, from what
that
I heard,
is
there
true.
was tons of that.
That is true. All right, so tell me about the Davos meeting.
So the WEF holds an annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland, which brings together thousands of investors, business leaders, politicians, economists, celebrities, and journalists. It's actually very similar to the Bilderberg Group, which is something else that Klaus Schwab used to be associated with. I think he was running the Bilderberg Group for a while back before it became common knowledge.
Well, yeah, it was before Alex Jones made it a household name, and then they had to change everything to the fucking WEF. That's what really happened.
Yeah, it seems like that's what the WEF is turning into, is just a new, apparently more effective version of the Bilderberg Group.
Yep.
The annual meeting in Davos has received criticism over the years for multiple reasons, including the cost of security, which is paid for in part by the Swiss government. This is actually like paid for by the Swiss citizens because they're getting government funds for it, which pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
The environmental footprint of the meeting due to the number of private jets used to reach Davos, and I think that that's also kind of ironic because one of their biggest, one of the things that they push the most is all of these new green, environmentally friendly ideas that they want to put in place when they're doing exactly what everybody does when they go to any of these environmental summits, is they're all taking a bunch of private jets there, putting that much more carbon into the atmosphere.
Yeah, here's the... So they think that moving to green as quickly as possible is the safest, most secure thing that we can do as a society, right? That's because they believe in climate alarmism. But if that's the case, shouldn't we, if there is a humanitarian parcel to that package, and the same group of people are trying to get us into a war with Russia, why not just use American fuel exclusively until we have green energy. Put the onus on us to get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense the way we're doing this shit.
And well, I mean, to me, the idea that, or the claim that they make that this is all a humanitarian effort doesn't make any sense, because when you're making these massive changes to the energy infrastructure, it's going to increase the costs of everything from the ground up. As soon as you switch away from, I mean, you can see with the rising gas prices right now, everything's going to start getting more expensive, and the people that is going to affect the most are going to be the poorest people in the nation. So really, by doing this, it's not a humanitarian effort at all. It's putting that much more pressure on the lowest rungs of society.
Yeah, stop being poor and buy a Tesla, you little bitch.
Yeah.
I wish they would just say it like that. Instead of being like, oh, I don't mind $15 gas, I drive a Tesla. Why not just say like, hey, you little fucking poor, fuck you.
Stop being poor.
Yeah, like I really wish they, because then I would at least get the laugh. Now I'm just like, what? That's gross, dude. I can't believe you said that.
I honestly can't believe that joke got through on Stephen Colbert. Like, nobody thought that was tone deaf, like, at any step of the process.
Well, who's going to say something to him? That guy's been smelling his own farts for so long. It's like he doesn't know what funny is. I haven't heard him say anything funny. But remember his reaction when Jon Stewart came on the show and started correcting him about a lot of things? And he was just like, that's not true. And Jon Stewart was like, yeah, it's very true, actually.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, God, whoa.
Colbert's never been funny as himself.
No.
He
was funny as a caricature of a Trump supporter.
Yes, he was funny as that, and he was funny literally acting in Strangers with Candy.
I was going to say Strangers with Candy.
He's never
was good.
ever pulled off and even when he was a correspondent on the Daily Show, he was basically playing a caricature. Like, he was always like a character. He's extremely ill suited for that job.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? Fuck him.
So the third thing that the Davos meetings get criticized of is a lack of financial transparency combined with the organization's tax-exempt status.
Yeah,
So
that part's super weird.
Yeah.
Why would they be Why would an international organization like that be tax exempt? Or why would they be collecting revenue in the first place?
Yeah.
What's the product that they're selling exactly?
From what I can tell, the product that they're selling is membership. You get access to a club that puts you in contact with all these other major world players that you're able to try and push your own agenda pretty much.
Well, fuck it. Let me see. Hold on a sec. Let's see. Board of Trustees. I want to talk. Oh, there's a long bit about Klaus Schwab. Okay, we'll get to him in a little bit. They've received quite a bit of criticism for the amount of influence they hold over corporations and democratic institutions, along with their unclear decision-making process and membership criteria. I mentioned the first half of that before when they say that they're trying to. I mean, they literally say they're trying to push globalism in the form of private-public partnerships.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. They're trying to peddle influence over people by using governments and companies to do it. It's like a weird. That's why everybody's like, "Oh, you're fucking communists" or whatever. It's not. We're seeing a new type of authoritarianism now that is part corporatism, and I mean, it's certainly not communism. It's more like fascism and corporatism combined. Let's see. The forum believes that a globalized world is best managed by a self-selected coalition of multinational corporations, governments, and civil society organizations, leading to concerns of unelected officials influencing global policies. I mean, that's happening inside the United States already. Like the CDC is the one that tried to put that ban on unvaccinated people getting jobs. It was a regulatory thing. It wasn't a law. So that shit's unelected people just extended the fucking mask mandate on planes for a month for no fucking reason. Like literally no reason. We know that the masks that everybody are wearing don't work. Like a properly fitted N95 helps some for about 2 hours maybe, but the ones that we all wear don't do shit. Like for maybe 15 minutes.
I don't understand the reasoning behind that. Like what are they getting out of it? Is it just exerting control or still trying to keep fear going to? I mean, it's got to have something to do with control, right?
I think it's that they want to get patted on the back for stopping that mandate. I think they want to get an applause break for stopping that mandate, and they're not going to get it right now while Russia's invading Ukraine. So I think they want to get clear of that situation, so that'll be the thing that's happening April 18th, and not something else.
Oh,
that's
okay.
my
so
opinion.
it's just for clout.
It's
like more moral grandstanding.
it's a time between the primaries and general elections and the midterm election, where campaigns have really started getting into gear. So you push it to then, and coming out of the gate, all your fucking libs can say, "Oh, fucking look what we did. All the jobs are coming back." Like, people are posting memes over the past couple of weeks of like the job creation, job growth last year, like giving people, not even giving them their jobs back, letting people go back to work at businesses that you shut down. That's not creating jobs, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, that's like fucking the dumbest shit I've ever heard, but people are really buying into that stuff as an excuse. I mean, right now they're super embarrassed that they voted for Joe Biden. And they're trying to find ways to explain, like, oh, look, it's not that bad. You did this stuff. All right. In 1988, Greece and Turkey signed the Davos Declaration, which normalized relations and prevented war from breaking out between the two countries. At the 94 meeting, Israel Foreign Prime Minister Shimon Peres and PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat reached a draft agreement on Gaza and Jericho. In 2017, for the first time since its inception, the meeting in Davos included a head of state from the People's Republic of China, President Xi Jinping. During this speech, Xi Jinping portrayed China as a leader in environmental causes and denounced movements that aimed to introduce tariffs and hinder global commerce. That he means Donald Trump. He should have just said it if he wasn't a fucking pussy. Because Trump butt-fucked China and gave us a trade deficit with them for the first time in like 50 fucking years.
Yeah.
Jinping also warned that no one would emerge as the winner in a trade war, adding, quote, China has no intention to boost its trade development by devaluing Chinese currency by launching a trade war. They've been manipulating currency forever. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we've been in a fucking... Is there such a thing as a fucking... what do you call it? Cold trade war?
I mean, there must be, because that's what we've been in the middle of with China for quite a while now.
Yeah.
I mean, just from the list of names, you can see so far that these meetings have been a gathering of extremely powerful and influential people since at least the mid to late 80s, where there's actual world leaders there going to negotiate deals, and this involves the leadership of the WEF also. So somehow these guys are acting as politicians in a certain way.
Yeah, if any of these people are, if you're a member of the WEF, and you were involved in the Davos Declaration or the meeting between Shimon Peres and Yasser Arafat, or anything approaching that, and you're an American citizen, you violated the Logan Act, which prevents private citizens from negotiating foreign policy without express written consent of of the president.
Really? I'd never heard of that one before.
Yeah, it's called the Logan Act by Ted Theodore Logan, I think.
Nothing to do with Wolverine?
No. So that begs an interesting question, because it sounds like they're kind of doing the UN's job there, which is interesting because they previously had a relationship with the UN.
They still do, and I think that the relationship with the UN has become a bit more secretive than it was before, because there's obviously concerns about the amount of influence that this random group of oligarchs pretty much are, like, all the influence that they're having over world policy.
So the WF had observer status with the UN Economic and Social Council until 2012, when it was revoked. I'm not sure why.
I couldn't find why it was revoked either.
Probably because people were asking about it.
Yeah.
Or they ended that program because in June of 2019, the UN signed a strategic partnership framework with the WEF to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Now, this is the thing that Biden's always talking about. If you don't think this White House is compromised by the World Economic Forum, then why are they using the same number? Why are they using the same date as a benchmark for getting clean energy to the top used?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. If 2 or 3 of your friends show up and be like, hey, we should go to fucking Taco Bell, and they're all saying, like, you guys fucking had a conversation before this, and you wanted to go to Taco Bell, well, guess what, bitch? I'm in. Following that partnership being announced in June of 2019, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's Guterres.
It would be funnier if it was UN Secretary General Antonio Banderas. Like, I don't understand why that's not the case.
Desperado in charge of the UN.
Yeah, he's got like he's just walking around with a fucking guitar case everywhere. Guterres said the new strategic partnership framework between the United Nations and the World Economic Forum has great potential to advance our efforts on key global challenges and opportunities, from climate change, health and education, to gender equality, digital cooperation, and financing for sustainable development.
Now, isn't it strange that the UN is making partnerships with some nonprofit group?
Yeah, honestly, I think we should burn that fucking building to the ground. The UN, and I think we should also burn WEF to the ground. Like, you don't, I've seen every rung up the ladder of leadership, whatever it happens to be, right, in government or influence maybe, or power. Every time you take another step up on the power chain, it gets more corrupt. Mm-hmm. And what do we think, a global government is going to be better somehow? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen, and people need to be ready to burn things. Literally burn them. There's 5 key elements to the strategic partnership framework. Financing the 2030 agenda is first. So mobilize systems and accelerate finance flows towards the 2030 agenda and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So the UN is, alongside the WEF, somehow raising money. I don't know from whom, because we pay for 90% of the UN, to implement these global goals that I don't recall any of us having a say in. You know what I mean? Like, the UN has no fucking authority here or jurisdiction, and neither does the WEF. And if one of those assholes comes here and tries to tell me what to do, then I'm going to punch him in his fucking face. And if he tells one of our politicians what to do and they try to come tell me what to do, I'm going to punch them in their fucking face. Like, fuck that shit. We don't take orders from other countries.
Yeah, that's the real threat of groups like this, is the inordinate amount of influence that they have over countries that they're not even a part of. Like, we're letting not just unelected officials, unelected U.S. citizens make decisions for us. We're also letting foreign business people make decisions for us.
And this isn't new to the world. I mean, the Catholic Church did this for a long time as well. And it wasn't just about religious practices, but it was about economics and shit as well. Mm-hmm. Like, they decided who got invaded and who didn't for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just the difference now is people's religion is globalism, and they've come to believe in it because being a global citizen makes you a good person. That's what it's all about. It's always about moralizing. Like, oh, what do you mean you don't want fucking some dude that, you know, his fucking family's been banned from the country because they keep blowing shit up to come in and live next door to you? Like, no, I don't. I don't care for that. No.
Yeah, I think a lot of people fall into that because something needs to take the place of religion. Mm-hmm. People need some sort of goal to work towards and some sort of larger group to be a part of to feel fulfilled.
Yeah, 100%. Number 2, climate change. Achieve clear, measurable, and public commitments from the private sector to reach carbon neutrality by 2050. Help create public-private platforms in critical high-emitting sectors, and scale up the services required to adapt to the impacts of climate change. That's another big part of their religion. If globalism is the religion, then climate change is Jesus for these people. health. Support the health and well-being of countries during key emerging global health threats that require stronger multi-stakeholder partnership and action. That is to say, forced vaccination.
Yeah.
That's what that means. And digital passports. That's what that means.
Yeah, when we start talking about the attendees and members of the WEF, especially on their board of trustees, there's a very direct link to both Pfizer and Moderna.
Yeah. Like a current link.
Yeah.
Not like a past link. Oh, they went to college together. Like, no, they went to dinner together last night.
Yeah.
Let's see. Digital cooperation. Another problematic thing. Foster partnerships and coalitions for full participation and equal opportunities of women at all levels of decision making and for productive participation of women in the labor force. What the fuck does that have to do with digital cooperation?
Now, see, I think that was just thrown in there to make all the rest of it look good. Like, that's more moral grandstanding. Like, oh, you know, if they're this worried about women's rights, they must be good. It's like the incels that talk about being a feminist when really they'd be a rapist if they had the chance.
Yeah. Well, we've all got the chance. Education and skills promote public-private partnerships to address global reskilling. Learn to code. And lifelong learning for the future requirements for work and empower youth with competencies for life and decent work. Since the strategic partnership agreement was signed, over 400 civil society organizations and 40 international networks have called on the UN Secretary General to end it. Opponents of the agreement between the WF and UN warn that, quote, it delegitimizes the United Nations and weakens the role of states in global decision-making. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately their goal, though.
The UN is run by no one in particular, actually, but it's run by influence peddled through governments. Mm-hmm. The WEF is run through influence peddled by no one that was ever elected to shit.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what they want to do. They want to accumulate power at the UN and then slide it on over to their buddy over here who has nobody has any recourse. Like, what do you got to do, sue him?
Yeah, and Klaus Schwab himself has openly said that, I don't remember the exact quote, but he said that he thinks that governments are outdated, that they need to be replaced. Yeah, and that's with a self-selected group of high-powered people.
I think maybe he's right about the first part, and then instead of replacing the governments, we just do away with them entirely, and we figure it out again. I think it would be
anarchy?
Not anarchy, no. I just think that remove government entirely, there's going to be some pain, and let people figure it out again. There's a lot of benefit to figuring out again, to going back to the drawing board and relearning the movements you do when you work out or perform an activity, or go back and take a refresher class in the math that you're doing or something. I think that's a really useful tool. Mm-hmm. And it also has the added benefit of exposing people who haven't been exposed to it to the process of learning that shit and going through the struggle of learning it.
Oh, yeah.
So I think instead of the Tree of Liberty being refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants, maybe we just start over. Mm-hmm. Like, why?
Like a great reset of sorts.
Not one that sounds really good, because people know something's wrong and they're all super unhappy about it. And a great reset sounds like, oh, we're going to get back to normal. Reset means going back to where we were. Mm-hmm. That's not at all what the World Economic Forum is talking about. They're talking about, I guess, going back to the Roman Senate. That's what they really want to do.
That would be the closest example I could think of.
They owned most of the businesses and property, and they also ran the government. So that's the closest thing I can think of.
And they were also the military leaders too.
Yeah.
They played all of the roles.
Although corporate influence has long been present in the UN system, the partnership between the UN and WEF greatly increases the risk of corporate leaders gaining further influence over the heads of the UN, obviously. Before we get into who some of these fucking turds are, I'm going to do some ads. So sit there and shut the fuck up. Mind your damn business. What day is it? Oh, we only have GhostBed today. Good. Right now, GhostBed is offering 40% off GhostBed bundles where you get a mattress and a jug. Do you guys do GhostBed ad reads on your show? Do one here and tell your show is called Iconoblast.
Oh yeah,
And then you're on Conman as well sometimes, right?
Yeah, I do Conmen and Iconoblast every week.
Conman is one, like Iconoblast is a fun kind of history show, and then Conman is going to get you put on an FBI watch list.
Yeah, that's why Conmen isn't on any of the official Drinkin' Bros channels.
We do repost their shit all the time. I don't care.
See, I know I got the... Here we go. Got the Ghostbed promo. Ghostbed has been a loyal sponsor of the Drinkin' Bros for 5 years now, and everyone here in the studio is in love with their mattresses and pillows. Ghostbed makes their high-quality mattresses right here in the USA, and each mattress comes with a 20-year warranty. You can try a Ghostbed mattress for 101 nights, and if you're not completely satisfied, you can return it, no questions asked. Their mattresses and pillows have cooling technology to help keep you cool at night, and you can buy a mattress for around $35 per month with no money down, 0% financing plans. Ghostbed also offers bundles so you can get everything you need in one convenient package. Just choose from their 4 mattresses and then pick your bundle.
I've got one convenient package, bitch. Sorry.
So whether you just need a mattress and a frame or you want it all, like their cooling pillows and sheets, you can always get the best bang for your buck. Right now, Ghostbed is offering a flash sale where you can get 40% off when you buy a mattress and adjustable base, or 30% off of everything when you use the promo code DrinkinBros. So head over to ghostbed.com/DrinkinBros to take advantage of all their awesome deals. That's ghostbed.com/DrinkinBros.
And if you want some other awesome deals, go to the Drinkin' Bros store. There's a bunch of fun shit on there now.
Yeah, I've noticed that the merch game has stepped up a lot lately.
Yeah, that's Brittany. She's running the merch store now, so.
Yeah, she seems to be killing it.
Yeah, she's doing well. Brought back Pork of the Sea. I haven't gotten one yet, but there's this new design, and it's shoot first, yeehaw later that I'm really... and it's a Texas flag with a gun on it, and it says shoot first, yeehaw later. So I'm looking forward to that one. Shop.drinkinbros.com. Or just go to drinkinbros.com. You bitch. All right. Davos, this meeting... attendees and the WEF members who have attended them. So, since 1974, political leaders have used the annual meeting as a venue for negotiations and promoting mutual interests. Some of the previous attendees to the Davos meetings were Nelson Mandela, former U.S. Secretary of State and war criminal Henry Kissinger.
A notable piece of shit.
Yeah, just a massive piece of shit.
And another piece of shit, the pedophile and Duke of York Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
Who just recently was able to use his mom's money to pay his way out of being in trouble for molesting a girl.
I mean, I guess that's better than living in your mom's basement, but not by much.
Not by much.
No notable attendees of the 2021 Davos meeting include President of France Emmanuel Macron, Xi Jinping from China, Secretary General of the United States Antonio Guterres. I'm pretty sure that Justin Trudeau was there as well.
Yeah, so was Angela Merkel from Germany.
Fucking cunts. The foundation is funded by its 1,000 member companies, which are typically global enterprises with more than $5 billion in turnover. Membership is stratified by the level of engagement with forum activities, with the level of membership fees increasing as participation in meetings, projects, and initiatives rises.
To me, this sounds a lot
you got to
like
be a gold
Scientology.
member, man. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is so fucking weird. In 2011, the annual cost of membership was $52,000 for an individual, or we should buy one and start showing up to these fucking meetings and just call everybody gay, but not like in a mean way. Not in a mean way, like, oh, so like we're working on this new technology that's gonna digitize all the currencies of the world. Like, oh, dude, that's super gay. I really like that. Just, I don't know, fuck with these people because they're all like completely out of touch. So they would probably think you were onto something. If you said it enough and kept a positive attitude about it, you would start hearing like Klaus Schwab, like, oh, we're looking to do more gay things while he's rubbing his fucking little arms together. I don't know. Probably dumb. $263,000 for an industry partner and $527,000 for a strategic partner. In 2014, the annual membership increased by 20%, bringing the cost for a strategic partner to $628,000. No, I don't know what it is now.
Yeah, the 628,000 was the last publicly available number. But I mean, I wonder if they're already having the Swiss government take care of some of their costs of running this meeting every year. Where is all this money going? Because something that's confusing about Klaus Schwab, this guy spends all of his time rubbing elbows with the richest and most powerful people on the planet, but allegedly his yearly income is $1 million. I do not believe that for a second. This guy has to be a billionaire, but even if you try to look up his net worth, you can't find a direct answer. And any of the estimates only put him as a multimillionaire.
Let's go rob that bitch, man. What the fuck's he gonna do? He's an old man. We need to start robbing billionaires. I know they don't carry any cash on them, so you just take their shoes. Then
You should be able to pawn those for at least $400 or $500.
no, I don't want to pawn them. I just don't want them to have shoes.
That's fair.
See, value means a lot of things, and it doesn't always mean currency. Sometimes there's value in just doing something. Like if I'm depressed one day, I can either spend money on drugs and alcohol, right? Or I can spend, and doing that requires time. Like I have to spend time working to get that, and I have to spend time getting it, and I have to spend time doing it. Or I can just sit there and daydream about the time I stole Klaus Schwab's shoes, and he had to walk home like a fucking child. You know what I mean? And that would immediately make me feel better.
Got him
better
hanging
than
on your
therapy.
mantle.
That's better than $250 an hour to have some fucking nerd in a chair telling me what's what. Fuck you.
I think you're playing into Schwab's hands. You're not spending money. You're sitting around doing nothing. Sounds like some communist bullshit to me.
No, I'm spending my money on other stuff.
Okay.
And let's be real. There's no universe where I'm not spending money on drugs and alcohol.
If anything, the drugs enhance the daydream.
Yeah, that's true. I would smoke DMT and think about the time I stole Klaus Schwab's shoes. All right.
So now the WEF Board of Trustees, which has some very, very interesting people on it. And this is only a small portion of it. Some of the people that I left out was like Yo-Yo Ma is associated with him.
He's the head of the cello department.
Yeah. He's first chair. Somebody else, Al Gore, is very closely associated with him. Jack Ma, the billionaire
Alibaba owner,
that disappeared for a while and suddenly showed up again.
I think he went to a re-education camp.
Probably. I imagine he must have. I don't think that the government was going to let him get away with anything that they didn't agree with.
Well, you don't dip out under duress like that and then show back up not under duress and doing slightly different things if something didn't happen in that period.
Yeah, well, didn't that happen to, what was it, a Chinese tennis player or something that accused one of their politicians of assaulting her?
She's not back yet.
Oh, she's not? I thought she did come back.
No, she just made a statement that she wasn't being kidnapped.
Yeah, on camera.
Yeah.
And actually, they filmed it at a bad angle, and you could see a Chinese official in the mirror, like, watching her. It was like in a hotel, prison, one of those type of situations.
Yeah, it's like when those Taliban guys went into the news studio and they were just standing behind the reporter with rifles while he was reading a statement, acting like, oh, no, this isn't coerced at all. So the WEF is directed by a board of trustees consisting of high-profile and influential members of corporate, political, academic, and civil society. The current board of trustees for the WEF includes Mark Benioff. Benioff is a former software developer and current CEO of Salesforce, a cloud computing company founded in 1999. Now, remember Mark Benioff for later in the episode because he was a proponent of software as a service business model, which is pretty much what every software service is doing at this point.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly similar to the overall business plan is surprisingly similar to the goals of the WEF, where everything becomes a service that you have to pay for on a regular basis.
Right.
Also, in September of 2018, Benioff purchased Time magazine for $190 million. Mark Carney, a Canadian economist and banker, Carney has served as both the governor of the Bank of Canada and the governor of the Bank of England. And there's a lot of other bankers that are part of the WEF or on the board of trustees. Carney is also a former chair of the Financial Stability Board, which is an international body that monitors and makes recommendations about the global financial system. Prior to his governorships, Carney spent 13 years working for Goldman Sachs, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, so he probably isn't going to, tailor his advice to benefit himself.
No, not at all.
'Cause why would you do
You don't
that?
get to a position that powerful without being absolutely selfless.
Yeah. Herman Graf, maybe, is a Russian politician and businessman who served as the Minister of Economics and Trade in Russia from 2000 until 2007. He's currently the chairman and CEO of Sberbank, the largest bank in Russia. So that's probably good. David Mark Rubinstein. Rubinstein is a former U.S. government official as well as co-founder and co-chairman of the Carlyle Group. That's another shady-ass fucking organization. The Carlyle Group is a private equity and asset management firm that has been connected to the 2008 recession and mortgage crisis. They were one of the first people to start bundling these subprime mortgages and selling them as securities and shit like that. And by the way, they're still doing it. All the stuff, if you've watched that movie, The Big Short, and there's some historical inaccuracies, but what they're doing insofar as subprime mortgages being bundled and pushed off as a prime mortgage or a prime asset now, that's still happening now. There's no law that says you can't do that.
God.
So that's weird. Christine Lagarde. Lagarde is a French politician and current president of the European Central Bank. In 2011, a French court ordered an investigation into Lagarde's role in an arbitration deal involving businessman Bernard Tapie. In 2014, an investigation into Lagarde's role in the arbitration case resulted in her being convicted of negligence, but no penalty was imposed.
Yeah, she was convicted, but no punishment for it.
That's not really what convicted means. But let's see. Last on our list here is Larry Fink, somebody you probably heard of. Larry Fink is the founder, chairman, and CEO of BlackRock, Inc., an American multinational investment management corporation. BlackRock is the largest money management firm in the world with more than $10 trillion in assets under its management. BlackRock has been in the news quite a bit recently due to the billions of dollars the company is currently spending on purchasing single-family homes.
Really hoping they buy mine. My dream is a BlackRock guy walking up and being like, "Here's 800, enjoy."
Well, I hear they pay like a minimum of $50,000 over the asking price.
Yeah. Now, why would a company that holds $10 trillion be buying up properties like that? I mean, it's not to not make money, so let's be clear about
absolutely.
that.
It plays into the whole, their whole tagline of "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy." You're not going to be able to own a home anymore. You're going to have to permanently be a renter, which is one of the reasons that I think that this is just pushing us towards a new form of feudalism.
No, it certainly is. It certainly is. I mean, you can call it feudalism. Indentured servitude is another way to say that.
Yeah.
Hang on just a sec. The internet at this building is goddamn dog shit. I mean, it's just truly pathetic. Google, you're just one of the worst companies that exists on earth. You fucking cunts. Stand by. I can't read any of my shit now because the fucking internet doesn't work. God damn it. Here we go. It'll take some time to load. Fucking cunts. Yeah. So, the corporation also owns multiple media. This is BlackRock. It owns multiple media outlets, banks, and the pharmaceutical companies Bayer, Pfizer, and Moderna.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Due to BlackRock's close relationship with central banks, the corporation has been referred to as a fourth branch of government by Bloomberg. Dozens of BlackRock employees have held senior positions in the White Houses under George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden. Overseeing all these board members is the founder of the WEF, Klaus Schwab, who we will talk about now. So on that rental thing, it's estimated that by 2040, the national home ownership rate is going to decline from 65% to 62%. I think that is pretty low.
Yeah.
the home buying rate has declined by about 10 percentage points already just in our generation. So thinking that it's only going to decline that much more, 3-4%.
Yeah, it's only going to drop by 3%.
Yeah, in 20 years and 18 years, that's just not how that works. But that's been a growing concern. It used to be, I think there was a 78% home ownership rate, and it's down to like 65 now.
It's down to 65.5 as of 2021, but up from 63.7, which was the low after the crash. And that was in 2016.
Yeah.
So it has trended up in the last 6 years.
Yeah, but that's after an what would you call that? An inorganic dip, because we crashed the fucking housing market.
Right.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. All right, now tell me about Klaus Schwab. He sounds like a really good guy.
WEF founder Klaus Schwab is an economist and engineer who earned a doctorate in engineering from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in 1961. Something else I forgot to mention. The head of MIT is also part of the WEF.
Sweet.
After graduating from the SFIT, Schwab went on to be awarded with a doctorate in economics from the University of Freiburg and a Master of Public Administration degree from the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. Between 1972 and 2003, Schwab was a professor of business policy at the University of Geneva. Early in his career, Schwab served on a number of company boards, including the Swatch Group, the Daily Mail Group, and Vontobel Holding. Since founding the WEF, Schwab has faced criticism for perceived hypocrisy and corruption connected with the foundation. While Schwab publicly declared that excessively high management salaries were, quote, no longer socially acceptable, his own salary has been repeatedly questioned. His yearly salary of around 1 million Swiss francs has been scrutinized due to the amount of public contributions needed to maintain the WEF, along with the fact that the forum does not pay any federal taxes. But like I said before, they're still getting money from the government to help support them.
The NFL is still a tax-exempt organization, man. Let's not pretend like it's just Klaus Schwab out there. Anyways, yeah, keep going.
Schwab has also been criticized for using the WEF finances to fund for-profit business ventures, such as awarding a multi-million dollar contract to US Web in 1998. Shortly after the deal with US Web went through, Schwab took a seat on the board of the company, ultimately giving him valuable stock options. So he used WEF money to broker a contract with these guys,
Sure.
and then he just happened to end up on their board shortly afterwards.
It's weird how that works.
Yeah, I'm sure that's all totally honest. Another point of contention in Schwab's views on the role of corporations and civil society and organizations in global management, along with his association with the Bilderberg Group. As stated previously, Schwab believes the world is better off in the hands of a self-selected coalition of corporations, governments, and organizations, arguing that governments are no longer, quote, the overwhelmingly dominant actors on the world stage, which is starting to become true primarily because of people like him and all of his buddies. Mm-hmm. According to the Transnational Institute, or TNI, the WEF is planning to replace the current democratic model with a model where stakeholders make decisions on behalf of the people. The TNI has concluded that society is, quote, increasingly entering a world where gatherings such as Davos are not laughable billionaire playgrounds, but rather the future of global governance. It is nothing less than a silent global coup d'etat. And part of the big bid to reshape the world in favor of groups like the WEF is something Klaus Schwab calls the Great Reset.
So just some of his history. His dad, that identity has been hidden pretty well over the years. As a matter of fact, over the last 2 months, Wikipedia has removed any reference to him off of their website. And that's because his dad worked... ran the company. He was the manager of the company that made the turbines and flamethrowers for the Nazis.
Oh, shit.
Oops.
I kind of could have guessed.
Is that even controversial? Like, he's an old German. What did you think the old German's older relative did?
That's why I don't hire any old Germans. Or buy Hugo Boss. for example, or deal with any Swiss company.
Or Brazilians.
Yeah, well,
Right.
Or Argentinians.
Argentinians,
Yeah,
yeah.
if they-
Argentines.
either one of those guys that has blue eyes, I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing that is like the least mind blowing. If someone is like, you want me to blow your mind? You want to know who started Volkswagen? You're like, well, it was around that time. So,
Yeah. Eugene Wilhelm Schwab, that's the guy's name. So if you want to look him up and see what he was getting up to those days, it was basically helping murder Jews, which is, I guess we're just okay with that now.
I think George Soros did also, didn't he?
Yeah, as did the fucking former pope, I would imagine. I mean, he was in Hitler Youth, so you
shit.
got to think his parents were involved in some shit, right?
Yeah.
maybe. Wait, was he Austrian?
I don't remember.
Ratzenberger? I don't think he was German.
Oh, I thought he was German.
I
could be
thought he
wrong,
was
though.
German. Pope Benedict. Pope Benedict Arnold would have been better. He even looks like a fucking he was born
no,
in
he's
Martel,
German.
yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like a Nazi, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
Fucking look at his fucking face.
He looks like a supervillain.
I just want to, someone just should have been like, show me your merit badges.
Yeah.
What'd you qualify for?
Yeah, he's up to no good for sure. So what is the Great Reset?
In June of 2020,
Because I just before you describe all this shit, I want to remind people what the word reset means. It means go back to what was there before, right? Which is something that would be. I don't know if they did that intentionally to appeal to conservatives, like "Make America Great Again," "Great Reset." It's not really a progressive thing to say, but everything inside of it is progressive.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
by definition, resetting is regressive.
Yeah.
In June of 2020, the 50th annual meeting of the WEF was titled The Great Reset, and that's also the name of a book that Klaus Schwab wrote. According to Schwab, the Great Reset consists of three core components. Number one, steering the market towards fair outcomes by facilitating a stakeholder economy. And I'd never heard of a stakeholder economy or stakeholder capitalism before, so I went down a bit of a rabbit hole here. But a stakeholder economy or stakeholder capitalism is a system in which corporations are oriented towards serving the interests of all their stakeholders as opposed to maximizing the profits of the shareholders. This system is a counterpoint to Milton Friedman's belief that the only responsibility of a business is to use its resources to increase profits for the shareholders, which is what pretty much every business runs on now. In a stakeholder economy, the business focuses on meeting the needs of all of its stakeholders, such as customers, employees, partners, the community, and society as a whole, as opposed to only the shareholders. Historically, businesses that practice stakeholder capitalism repeatedly found themselves facing a non-cohesive and confusing outcome known as the garbage can model. The garbage can model describes the chaos of the decision-making process of an organized anarchy.
It's a camel, which is a horse designed by committee. Like, what the fuck? Why has it got those weird legs and two humps?
I have some bio info on the Pope, actually, real quick.
Oh, shit.
His dad was actually extremely anti-Nazi, and they got moved around several times because he was against Nazism, and one of his nephews had Down syndrome and got sent off. So it was they were actually not too bad as far as popes go.
Yeah, I never understood why he got. I mean, aside from looking like a Nazi, that probably didn't help.
No.
But like he was in Hitler Youth, and like weren't a whole lot of 12-year-olds fighting back against the government back then. Not sure what you expected him to do. So this is organized chaos at the in governing. So in practice. The organized anarchy are characterized by the following. Fluid participation. So employees vary in how much time and effort they commit to different aspects of the job, resulting in boundaries of organization continuously changing. Meaning you're not an effective cog in the wheel, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like this is our cog in the engine. This is... As someone who runs a bunch of businesses and has for a long time, the way you treat and benefit your employees and your customers and how you monetize, those are different things, right? They're not connected, but they're certainly different fucking verticals. You know what I mean? So, for example, I run my business the way I run it because that's the most efficient way to run it and because that's how I want to. Now, I find people who are tailored for certain jobs inside of that business, who also preferably people that enjoy doing that, right? And then the benefit part comes attached to that. But if the people inside of my company that work for me decided, well, we don't like doing this anymore, like, all right, see ya. I'm not changing the company. And that's what they mean when it says the boundaries continually change. In this system, the line between leader and follower is blurred, leading to confusion amongst employees and further reductions in participation. And be clear, the benefits a company is able to give to its employees is a direct result of the fucking revenue that's coming in. So if there's an employee desire that's going to fuck with our revenue, then I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to make that decision for everybody else in the company either, right? Or me as the business owner.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue this.
Problematic preferences. The organization has no clear guidelines and follows a variety of poorly defined goals. This results in the organization operating as a loose collection of ideas as opposed to a coherent structure, causing participants to be unclear on which problems matter and which problems do not.
Yeah, think about the Occupy Wall Street protests. Like, they had a pretty good reason to be fucking pissed off. Like, these assholes at the companies we mentioned earlier and some of those people we mentioned earlier did a bunch of dumb shit to make themselves money and fucked over the entire global economy. They had good reason to be upset about that. But there was no clearly defined goal to protest. Like, what exactly are you protesting? We're the 99%. Okay, what the fuck are you protesting?
What is the end state that you're working towards?
Yeah, like, what would make this protest stop? That's what you should be thinking about if you're protesting. That's the point. Not to just protest, the fucking protest.
I mean, it's complaining without a solution is just whining.
Yeah. Yeah, unclear technology. The organization's processes are not understood by the members, leading to reliance on trial and error in this model. Solely learning from accidents creates a situation where the consequences for proposed solutions are unclear, creating an environment where it is difficult to solve problems that have not been encountered before. So it's just a very inefficient way to do business. It's also a business model that would have to be forced onto people. Like, business owners would not do this because their goal is to make money. That's why you started the business in the first place. It's not like, yeah, I am a conscientious person, so I'm going to make sure that my employees are taken care of, and that if something goes wrong, the customer doesn't have to deal with it. We deal with it. That's how that works. I make that decision, though. You don't get to make that decision for me. And the only way something like this can even be implemented is by force.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
The system has historically resulted in problems and solutions being chaotically dumped into the titular garbage can, as there are no definitive receptacles for either complaints or ideas.
They all kind of just merge together. Like, you don't have a wall of ideas. James Altucher writes down 10 ideas every single day. Like, he just wakes up in the morning and he's like, all right, I'm going to write down 10 books I want to write, or 10 books I want to read, or 10 things I want to accomplish before I'm 60, or whatever the fuck, right? Is every day he makes a list of 10 things every single day. But if you woke up every day and made a list of 10 ideas or complaints, then I'm not sure how useful that's going to really be.
Yeah, I mean, if you just come up with 10 problems every single day and don't put any effort towards trying to
you're just
come
going
up
to
with
get
a solution,
more and more depressed.
Yeah.
All right, so what's part 2 here?
So part 2 is ensuring that investments advance to shared goals such as equality and sustainability. And frighteningly, equity comes up pretty often in a lot of these WEF documents.
Yeah, and that's how I know they're full of shit. Because regardless of what you think about a global government or globalism in general, and how it might be more efficient and be able to protect more. Because usually dumb ideas like this are born out of some concern for the state of humanity, right? And they just kind of develop in a negative way because it's patricians who have no context for life.
They're out of touch with the actual struggle.
But when they start talking about equity, then I know that they're just trying to divide people, right? And governments all over the world, corporations and the media have figured out that more so than war or economic ideology or abortion or any of this other bullshit, this equity thing is the best way to put a wedge between people who will do whatever the fuck you tell them and people who are like, nah, I'm not doing that. And they want to get rid of, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And this is the most effective way they've found to do it. It's my opinion.
For this component, Schwab points to large-scale government stimulus programs such as the ones implemented by the U.S., China, Japan, and the European Commission. Schwab argues that instead of using these funds to, quote, fill cracks in the old system, they should instead be used to create a new system that is more resilient, equitable, and sustainable in the long run. This means building green infrastructure and creating incentives for industries to improve their environmental, social, and governance metrics.
That's dumb, though, because wanting to create a new system that's more resilient and equitable is not going to be green. Not for 50 fucking years at least.
Yeah, we do not have the technology to go fully green at this point without creating insane amounts of economic problems.
Yeah.
And it's, like I was saying earlier in the episode, it's going to be the people at the bottom of the pile that are going to get it the worst.
Yeah, it always is, right?
Yeah.
So the third priority of the Great Reset agenda is to capitalize on what is referred to as the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The Fourth Industrial Revolution is a reference to the exponential advancement of technology, industry, and societal patterns seen in the 21st century. Although the term had previously been used in scientific literature, Schwab popularized the concept in 2015. Stated earlier, the WF sees global changes and instability as an opportunity to implement large-scale changes to social and economic norms. Schwab considers a united effort to combat the COVID pandemic as an example of what society is capable of achieving on a common goal. Yeah, like how many fucking economies can we shut down
If we all work
like
together.
that?
Yeah.
The WF aims to enforce vaccinate as well. The WF aims to utilize disruptive events such as the 4IR and COVID pandemic to break down pre-existing institutions for the greater good of society. Anybody that ever tells you they're doing something for the greater good is full of shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a thing. Nobody does anything for the greater good. People do things for their fucking themselves and their families, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that the concept of equity is kind of iffy and really unattainable.
Yeah.
Because, if you're not able to advance things for yourself and the people that you love, everybody else is going to be getting the same thing as you no matter how hard you work. There's no incentive.
Yeah. Now on to we got one little part left here, and it's some of the conspiracies that WF has been involved in. So let's go ahead and tell me some of these. These are pretty fun.
The widespread political and corporate connections of the WEF have led some people to believe the Great Reset is part of a larger plan to implement socialist, environmental, and authoritarian policies, which honestly it doesn't seem like a conspiracy to me. It seems like that's
just happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be harder to get away with it in the U.S. right now, but Biden's laying the groundwork with this crypto bullshit. But seizing assets internationally and then seizing the assets of people domestically in Canada, that shit's already going down because they have ideological differences with you. You take all their money away.
Yeah, and
that is you do that to me, you've committed an act of war, and I will bring that war to your fucking doorstep, buddy.
It's going to be even scarier if a digital form of U.S. currency starts getting enforced, because that means if you say the wrong thing online, they can just switch off your money. I mean, kind of similar to the way the Canadian government was freezing people's bank accounts, which totally makes people lose any sort of faith in those institutions.
Yeah.
So one of the catchphrases commonly associated with the Great Reset is "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy," which was originally coined in an essay by Danish Member of Parliament Ida Auken in 2016, which was included in a video called 8 Predictions for the World in 2030, which was produced by the WEF. Again, that's 2030, this very specific end date for all of these things.
Yeah. The world's going to end in 2030 because of climate change, but also we're doing stuff in 2030 and the banks are doing stuff in 2030.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like the 10 Commandments. It was just a nice round number. Yeah. Go ahead.
In the essay, Aachen predicts that by the year 2030, nobody will own a house, car, appliances, or clothing, and instead rent everything they need. And I can't believe that they were presenting this as a good thing. Like, this is what we're working towards, where you have to rent your clothes. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Girls already do that.
Do they?
Yeah.
What?
Like they'll rent like
the runway.
They're not. It's not. Well, there are people who rent clothes, but buying clothes and then putting them back out on consignment isn't technically renting. You're just
No, but there's like a subscription plan where you can pick from things and send them back, almost like an original DVDs of Netflix, but with like handbags and other things.
that's weird.
Yep.
Oh, really? I thought those boxes where they sent you clothes every month, you just chose which ones you wanted to keep and then
It's a
sent
little
the rest
different.
back.
This is more for
Oh,
like
okay,
really
so it's a-
high end stuff you can't afford.
Oh,
Like
okay.
actually buy, but then can wear out once or twice.
I mean, I've rented a tuxedo to go to a wedding before, but that doesn't mean I want to do that with the fucking jeans that I'm wearing right now.
This is the problem. It's not just you're defining a huge part of the problem right now. It's not just that these lunatic globalists and patricians want to control society. It's that people want shit that they have to work harder for than they're currently working, or work more for than they're currently working, and they want it now, and they're willing to surrender their fucking liberty for it. Fuck that.
Yeah.
I'll
Sign themselves up for anything for it.
I wear the same jeans like fucking 8 days in a row, bitch. You're not going to get me on that one. Anyways.
So the prediction made by Aachen of all products will become services is notable in relation to the WEF due to the fact that one of the board members of the Board of Trustees, Mark Benioff, that I was mentioning earlier, has long been a proponent of the software as a service model.
Yeah.
And other models like that.
Well,
where
he's the
instead of-
Salesforce CEO, so I mean,
Yeah.
obviously he's a proponent of that shit.
So turning everything into something, because with software, you purchase a license for it.
Most of it now, yeah. I mean, it's rare that you, for stuff in common usage like Salesforce or Shopify that we use for e-commerce or editing things or Outlook, any Microsoft Office product. It used to be you would buy it for like $200 or $300, whatever it fucking was. Now it's like you give me $160 a year.
Yeah, and we're going to continually be updating the software and things like that. They've done that with Photoshop and Final Cut and pretty much any of the major programs that you need on a computer to run a business. They're turning those into services as opposed to licenses that you purchase once and then you have access to their software. Because I think it hasn't been since the 80s that you actually own any software that you buy. You're purchasing a license to use it. And they can revoke that at any time. But now they just want a monthly, it's like a subscription.
Yeah, I mean, it's just digital feudalism. That's all it is.
Yeah. The essay by Aachen also predicts mass surveillance where every move is tracked and dissidents are forced to live outside of cities, splitting society into two distinct groups.
Dude, I'm fucking down with that shit.
Right?
I don't give a fuck about living in the city.
Well, that's already kind of happening.
Yeah. The theories go much deeper, but the ultimate and by the way, these are excerpts pulled from the fucking from a video and book or video and essay that were done by the World Economic Forum.
Yeah,
this isn't like some dude on fucking weird websites like the Daily Stormer or something like they're coming to get us or whatever.
It didn't come from InfoWars.
No, this is like. Well, I mean, that would probably be accurate, actually, but this is directly from the mouths of these assholes. The theories go much deeper, but ultimate outcomes seem to be thinly veiled form of feudalism. No private ownership of assets such as homes or businesses, once again placing all the power in the hands of the ruling class. And by the way, I've said this before on this show, but owning a home and the equity you build in it, that's the most wealth that most middle-class people make in their lifetimes, is the equity in their home.
And that's one of the best indicators of generational wealth, too. That's something you can pass on.
Yep. And it's not so it's not just a matter of you not owning the car you drive or whatever else. It's not even a matter of you not owning the house you live in if you're a renter. It's a matter of you not being able to fucking go upward ever again. Mm-hmm. Like, ever again. And what they want to do is devalue currency, right? Now currency isn't how hard you can work or how smart you can be and make enough money to buy what you want. Now it's how fucking good can you be to me, the ruling class, and I'll give you this shit in return. That's what it becomes.
That's the ultimate goal of
patronage.
Devaluing a currency.
I think it's their ultimate goal. because they want to be in control of everything from social life to financial life. They want to be in control of all of it. And ultimately, currency becomes irrelevant at that point. It doesn't matter how much money you have because the money's value is only in what it can buy, right?
Yeah.
Currency only matters because of what you can buy. If you're going to own nothing and be happy, then you're not going to have any money either, which means your currency will then be obedience. That's how you buy things.
It'd be like a social credit score.
Yeah.
Sort
Well,
of like
it'll be worse than a social credit score. A social credit score can be implemented right now, to be honest.
China's been doing something
Yeah.
similar to that already.
But I'm talking about like ancient Roman patronage, that type of feudalism, where you can't. There's no chance of you getting rich unless this fucking dude, this what do you call it, Legatus, tells you can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you
you're
beg
born in-
him to give you fucking stuff, and then you do some dirty shit for him he doesn't want to do, and then maybe your grandkid becomes a Legatus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
you're
how it works.
born into a class, and generally you don't move out of that
Right.
that class. That
Not
was one
without
of the,
something extraordinary happening.
Yeah, that's always been one of the strengths of, Western society in general is the upward mobility of it. You're much more likely, in the current system that we have, you're much more likely to be able to move up in the social structure as opposed to any other form of governance.
We're the only country in the world, in my opinion, that, or not anymore so much, I guess, but we were for a long time the only country in the world where that was a distinct possibility for anybody.
Yeah.
But now we're
and
fucked.
What's really interesting about that is that's like out of the course of all of human history. This is something that has just started recently,
Yeah.
where people can actually have some sort of upward mobility. They weren't born into a specific class and die in a specific class outside of, really rare circumstances where something lucky happened to them. They were able to move up.
Yeah.
It's, for the first time in human history, that's actually a possibility for people. And it's only been around for a couple hundred years at this point.
Well, it's not going to be around much longer.
Yeah, we're already
because
fucking it up.
BlackRock is buying every fucking property in America. Like literally, they're going to own all the property in America, and then, honestly, that's fine. I'm glad that it's just one organization doing it because that's only one head to cut off.
Oh, I think Vanguard's doing it also.
Vanguard, but to a lesser degree.
Yeah, BlackRock is definitely the biggest
Yeah.
at this point.
And the good news is, and we learned this from the Roman Senate, if you cut off enough people's heads, everybody else goes home. So, this is a good show.
Sig Semper Tyrannis.
Yeah, this is a good show. Elucidated a lot of weird shit that's going on. Not so much so you can stop it, just so you'll know when the war breaks out, why.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in hell.